What's up, YouTube? What's up, gang? So, what I promised y'all was delivering long form videos weekly, correct? So, I got y'all. I said I can't make any excuses. I'm here. I'm here and I'm active. I'm literally sitting on my floor, just put the ring light up, and that's it, y'all. I'm not on my PC, not on the computer, not doing any professional recording. Just to show y'all, we gotta keep going. We gotta keep working. All right. So I'm not gonna take too much of y'all time in the beginning. So this is the story of Longmu. So I got my notes waiting with me right here because y'all know I get sidetracked. Y'all already know I'm a yapper. so so I don't get too far and sidetrack. I got us today, you know. So if you didn't hear the story of Longmu, imagine like you finding five abandoned creatures, very small, and then you start raising them as your own. Then years later, you find out these animals weren't really animals. They were dragons. Dragons, yes. Crazy, right? And not just dragons, but beings that could take human form, which is even crazier. And that really just cracks and takes the story off and takes it to the next level. And basically tells us the story how Longmu really becomes the mother of dragons, the first mother of dragons before Daenerys Targaryen. In ancient China, this is the mother of dragons when she. All right. So let's get into the story because I don't know if you guys follow me on TikTok, Facebook, or any of the other socials, YouTube. You guys know I've been into dragons for a little bit and just figuring out what happened with the dragons. You feel me? Where did they go? Or did they transform? Did they die? What exactly happened? Because every civilization talks about dragons. They're written in pyramids, they're in petroglyphs, hieroglyphs. They're all over, the world. And some of these civilizations have no a way to speak to each other, no way, no type of advancement to even try to get to know each other or exchange information. They didn't even know the same languages. So I just find it very interesting. You can take a civilization, a brand new civilization, put them on a certain part of the world, leave them, let them develop for a little bit, and then they're going to end up talking about dragons, drawing dragons. Where does dragons come from? Where does the conversation of dragons, start and end? And I do feel like there's a weird form of human connection with dragons. It's either we can transform the dragons or certain people can, some people can't. But I feel like there's some form of dragons that's in us, if that makes sense, And let's just get to the story, and then I'm gonna get to my little hypothesis and my theory after. And y'all, I'm just gonna try to record this straight through, no edits, no stops. I'm just gonna try to do my best to stay on point, stay on topic, and you know, that's the only way you get good at these type of videos is if you start doing them. So I did want to edit this video out, but I'm like, nah, let's give it to them raw, uncut, and let's make it make sense. So, all right, let's start the story. So let me take y'all all the way back to China, southern China, about like the southern region, about 2,000 years ago, maybe even longer. Ancient China for sure. So during this period of time, emperors ruled with absolute power. There was nothing they can do. You have to listen and follow every direction that they said. This one, man. So in a world full of nature, it's crazy that they allowed emperors to, control it, but it is what it is. But they believed in a lot of like supernatural spirit entities, So the rivers all had spirits. The mountains all had watchers, and then the dragons were never myths. So I don't know when this started, where it came from, but hey. So they were the protectors of the land. Those type of entities, controlled, rain, storms, drought, balance itself. It controlled everything. So deep in southern China, they call it a different name right now, but I don't really want to botch it, or I don't really know how to pronounce it correctly. So until I like hear it, correctly, I'm just gonna say in southern China. So there lived a young woman. Basically, she was not from royalty. She wasn't like super powerful. She wasn't very wealthy. She wasn't even very beautiful. She was just a humble villager, very nice girl. Her name was Wenxi. Yes, Wenxi. So Wenxi was the kind of person that you knew that we all had them around us as either one or two people, but there's always that very kind person that has a big heart that would, pick up a stray cat or dog if they would help them. They don't even want to squash a bug, you know. That was what she was known for. She wasn't known for her riches or her beauty. She didn't have like children or family when she actually lived by herself. But she always had this big heart, which I thought was really, really dope about when she. And let me know how y'all like in the comments too about my mic, if I should record with the mic or use the audio from what is this, my camera. So let me know, because I'm just going to be trying little different things here and there. We're going to edit, do no edits, mic, no mic. So we should find out what works for us in about summertime. Yeah, so we got a couple months to make this right. So yeah, so like I said, like when she was the type of person to treat animals, like her own family. So she lived by herself. She would really struggle day to day, to be honest, which was crazy. So one morning, gang, right before the sun fully rose, when she just walked down to the river like she did every day, minding her business, seeing nature, very connected. She didn't have, that was like her daily, walk habit she did. So when she walked down the river, the mist was heavy for some reason, very strangely heavy. It never was this heavy, but it is what it is. And the water was super, super quiet. Then when she saw it, gang, she saw a strange, smooth, like a white stone type of like rock. Not from anything from the riverbed, not rough or not, and it wasn't broken. So it wasn't rough and wasn't broken. And she usually travels this way every day, so she never saw anything like this. So amongst, amongst it would look like it was sitting amongst other, stones and rocks, but that one looked like it was glowing for some weird reason, which was really crazy when I was reading this story. Now most people like me and you probably would have just left it there. I wouldn't have seen myself picking it up. Nah, I would have been home. I would have went home. And probably, I mean, maybe there's a few curious, Georges out there, you guys, but I don't have time to take nothing from nowhere, because I don't want no spirits, ghosts to look for me, or animals maybe looking for their baby. I don't know. This weird stuff happened. I don't ever believe in taking nothing from anybody's land that already it belongs to somebody else or something else. I'm not Christopher Columbus. I'm not doing that. I'm not taking nothing. So, hey, it is what it is. All right. So, but long story long, when she took it home, I don't know why, I don't know where, don't know what reasoning she had. But she definitely took it home. She's like, something about it felt alive to her. So when she took it, couldn't be me. But hey, let me get a sip of this water. I forget being a yapper every time you need this water in front of you, because your mouth does get dry. All right. So days have passed. When she has the stone, then one night the stone cracks out of nowhere, gang. Cracks out of nowhere. Not like shattered, but cracked like, like the chickens pecking out the eggs. cracked like that, like something was inside and something was breathing. So when she like, well, what the hell going on? What's happening? You know, and stuff started coming out of it. Obviously, whatever coming out of it is no longer a rock. It was never a rock to exist with. So 5 small creatures popped up out of them. They were small, fragile, kind of a little ugly, and very much like snake-like. They look like snakes. So when she thought they were snakes this whole time, like, she like they weren't normal snakes, but they look like, you know, sickly, like they could croak at any moment, which I hate to say. You know, y'all seen little, well, some of y'all have seen little garden snakes and stuff like that. So I think they're similar to that. So, what was interesting to Winchie is that everybody's eyes would shimmer, and it basically showed like signs of intelligence. So she was like, what? Like the way they would look at her would look like, you know, a child that would look at their mother, you know. So she, when she was like, what kind of snakes is these? This is kind of weird. So instead of fear, you know, which I would have probably felt, them snakes got to go. They're going back outside. They're going to the local animal clinic. I don't know if they had that 2,000 years ago in China, but they got to go. They probably had a snake charmer in the village. I don't know. They got to go though, for real. I'm sorry. This is just what I would have did. But hey, I'm not a legendary mother of dragons or father of dragon. So, or even a cousin of dragons, you know? So let me let when she do her thing. Let me let her cook. You feel me? That's funny. So when she immediately had a connection with them, of course, because I said she was one of those kind people that wouldn't hurt a fly, hurt a bug. So she loves everybody, creatures, animals, ugly, big, short, fat, dumb. She loves it all. So she immediately had a connection to them. So she started feeding them. She kept them. She protected them. She raised them as if they were her children, like I said. And I just think this is crazy because I'm like, what are you feeding them? How do you even know what they eat if they're just, you know, look like baby snakes at this moment, right? But hey, I digress. So gang, so as time passes, those creatures begin to grow bigger and bigger and bigger. Faster than anything natural. They didn't know what was going on. Stronger, longer, their scales become to harden across their body. Their bodies just automatically stretched, you know, and until one day they became undeniably big and strong. And everybody's like, those are not snakes. You guys are idiots. Those aren't snakes. Those are dragons. And there's 5 of them. 5 dragons. Now, like I said, when she lives alone, right? She lives in a little secluded little area in the village by the woods where she found the dragons. So now y'all gotta imagine 5 big dragons she's feeding, and it's all over the land. Like when she is no longer powerless, when she is powerful, like nobody can mess with her. Nobody can even talk to Wendy crazy. Even Emperor couldn't try her. But of course, like I said, Wendy is a sweet, I'm calling her Wendy. Who's Wendy? When she has this sweet, good heart, great energy. So she would never even do stuff like that. She wouldn't even think like that. But I was thinking that, you know, a very weak person, goes to, you know, lesson to anybody, can rise to the ranks. And I don't really know if she realized how powerful she was, or she just wanted to just, you know, be left alone, live life, and just be kind, loving, beautiful, drink tea, you know. Who knows? Who knows? But it's something to think about for sure. So each of the dragons were tied to elements, they say, each connected to the skies and the waters. It said that dragons could even control rain back in those days. But here's the part that people didn't expect. They didn't leave her at all. The dragons stayed continuously. And I thought that was very interesting. I mean, we did watch Game of Thrones, but even the dragon in Game of Thrones, they left and came back at some point, or even had to be locked up. When she controlled five dragons and they never left her side, you think they would return to adults and fly and get curious and leave, even maybe come back after a couple years or months. But no, they stayed her side, which I thought it was very, very interesting. They hunted fish for her. Like, she didn't even have to go and even really do much. They did everything that she needed them to do. They protected her home. Nobody could walk up to when she's little mountain, little area ever. Doesn't matter who it was. And even in some stories, they could shift, taking human form. Learning speech, observing people, becoming something closer to like scholars than the beast. That's always the story. It says they turn into five different scholars. And I thought that was interesting that they put, because they could have put five warriors, they could have put five spirits, they could have put five anything, but they turn into five scholars. So it just shows you guys information is important, reading is important, intelligence is important, raising your frequency is important. So I thought that was very, very interesting. But I digress. Let me go. Like I told you guys, that's why I got my notes here, because y'all already know I'm gonna yap and get off subject some way, somehow. All right. Then a huge disaster came to China. It was a drought. It was a huge drought for a very long period of time. I didn't look that up, but let me know if you guys want to know. The rivers dried. The rivers dried up. The crops had completely failed. I think China went for a very long period of without water for some period of time. And you guys can look that up. That's actually really did happen. So I thought that was very interesting. And this wasn't bad luck. This is just ancient China. It meant when something was out of balance in them in the spiritual world. Heaven was silent, but when she thought others, um, well, I don't want to say when she didn't thought others. She knew something the others didn't know, and when she wasn't helpless at this point, so like she wasn't really tripping. So she went to the dragons, the one she raised, and she asked them for help, obviously. So all her dragons rose to the sky higher than anybody has ever seen them fly in existence since they've been born. They twist and they turned in the skies, disappearing into the clouds, doing some form of like ritual, maybe dragon dance. I don't know what to call it. Then thunder started coming out of nowhere. Then the sky broke open and rain poured all over the land from some way, somehow, from whatever those dragons did up there. I don't know exactly what they did, but I think that was very, very interesting. They're up in the clouds, they're flying, they're moving, they're moving in certain shapes and patterns, very ritualistic, very spiritual. Like dragons, I'm on to you guys. Just know, Cube is on to you guys. Just know. So it wasn't like a light rain. It was a powerful storm rain, like heavy pour down that would bring life back into, China, to the plants, to the people, I wonder why it's illegal to fill up rainwater. If everybody could use rainwater back then, why is it illegal for us to use it now? Very interesting. Yeah, so the rivers filled up again. People filled up their buckets. They had water again. So at this point, everybody looked at this when she like, you're not an ordinary woman. That's not regular. Even our emperor couldn't save us, when she. So they gave Wenshi the name Longmu. They changed it, which means mother of dragons. So the Daenerys Targaryen and all the Targaryen people or the fans, they stole this from them. They stole this from Longmu. She's the first mother of dragons. They probably did great research as well, because Daenerys had her few dragons, Longmu had hers. But Longmu is definitely the first mother of dragons. Not because like she birthed dragons or did anything weird like that, but she raised them, she loved them, and she actually had control and power over them, but not. I don't even want to say control. I want to say more of a love and respect, and that's why they did what she wanted them to do. Definitely not like control. So eventually, gang, word spread that Longmu basically saved the world or saved ancient China. Um, all the way to their current emperor at the time, Qin Shi Huang, might be Qin Shi Huang. I think that's how I have it written down. So that should be correct. Now, gang, imagine the most powerful man in the world hears that a villager, a regular woman, she's unmarried, she has no kids, she's not really beautiful, she's not wealthy, controls dragons. What? He demanded immediately that she come to the capital. Immediately. uh he sent gifts, goals, orders. But Longmu, y'all know my girl is just a regular hometown country living girl in the village. She didn't want any power. Longmu always wanted peace. Even from that same day she found those baby dragons, she always wanted peace. She didn't even live in the village near y'all. She lived secluded from y'all because she know village people are messy. Y'all is starting drama. Y'all is gossiping. Y'all is mixed up in stuff you shouldn't be mixed up in. So she didn't want to be part of that. I don't blame Longmu. uh, even when they try to take her away, which was very interesting. I don't know why they try to bother this lady, but even when they try, her dragons actually intervene. And I told you guys, this lady is you can't touch Longmu. Like what? The dragons are gonna bite your head off. In some versions of the stories, they stirred the waters, creating a storm that made travel possible, which I think that's very interesting. You guys know how the water moves this with the sails and all that. They said that's because of the dragons. hmm Others say they physically, guided her, guided boats away, but it was a lot that they had to do for Longmu. They said they literally helped her escape some way somehow, but protecting her from the emperor himself before they got to get down and nasty and do what they got to do. But he wanted Longmu bad, but it wasn't happening. In my opinion, I really think he wanted to capture Longmu to marry her, to take the power and to hopefully control the dragons. And if he don't control the dragons, he controls her and she controls the dragons. So I definitely think that was the goal, and I think Longmu knew as well as the dragons, and it wasn't going for it. So yeah, um, that's no ruler should move like that. That's really crazy. But then again, we have rulers that move like that and worse nowadays. So hey. So yeah, he never got her. Even anytime he tried, I think at some point the dragons even hit her. Like I think she left, the village where she lives, and the dragons hit her somewhere else. So, which was, people didn't really know. But years have passed at this point. Longmu lived a very long, beautiful life. She eventually grew old, like we all do. Um, but still respect is still love between by the folks, by everybody. And I think this is also a period that people stop seeing the dragons as often, just as much as they stop seeing her. So when she passed, gang, she didn't die in fear. She died peacefully around the legacy she created. And this is when the story takes a turn for the left, because what? Because the dragons did something that none of us expected. They turned into human form. 5 different men known as the scholars. They literally called them the scholars. They were wise. They were silent, almost otherworldly. They were overly those guys, those dudes. Think of think of just like Superman, Batman, Captain America, Iron Man, like a Justice League or Avengers. They were those five dudes, you know. So they end up burying her on a mountain after she passed. The five dragons, by the way, but there are five scholars at this point, so we're calling them the five scholars. Which was it was very sad. They said they were crying, they were sad, they was emotional. Everybody honored her as well, but they kind of led the charge, and everybody was kind of, they're not dragons anymore. You know, looking at them like, that's crazy. They're not dragons, but nobody would ever, you know, ask them or talk to them about any of that. So they just kind of just went with the flow of the funeral. They call her the sacred one. They say she's still looking over to the river, the river to this day. After the burial, so they buried her, they honored her, right with the rest of the, you know, village. They vanished. All five of them vanished. There was no traces, no explanation. The five scholars were completely gone. Mind you, Longmu and the whole rest of the village grew up with these dragons, so they always seen them. They always knew them. So where could they have gone? And then they're in men form now. So where could have five little guys go? Even if they turn into dragons, they would see five big ass dragons fly, you know, and leaving. So, where did I leave off? Okay, wait, it doesn't really matter. So even today, there are statues and temples honoring her, and still tells about this story all over China. Not one, not two, but there's probably hundreds of temples that honor her. The stories are still told to this day. People still believe in this story. The spirit of Longmu and her five dragons still exist. People believe that dragons are still watching, just from a whole different side or a different angle. They said they're waiting for something. I don't know what they could be waiting for. So y'all let me know in the comments what you think they could be waiting for, protecting, because this wasn't just a story about dragons. It's definitely something deeper going on. But I love the fact that elements of love, loyalty, friendship, just real energy like we should be having as people are in those stories. So in your daily life, be loyal, you know, have your people's back, be a real one, love on your people, protect your people. You know, every story, love, friendship, you know, those high vibrational energies always win. So I just feel like, yeah, keep those because Longmu was before her time and we didn't know. So let me ask y'all this: if y'all find something in the river like that, what would y'all do? Would y'all leave it alone? Would y'all would y'all take them home? What would be the vibe be? Would you leave it there? Would y'all kill it, unalive it, step on it? Let me know. Let's be honest with me. You know, I don't really judge over here. We listen, we don't judge. So let me know. But I definitely think something's weird going on with the dragons, and a weird connection with us and with dragons, because where did they go? And where did they come from? If they exist or not. What is the real dragon lore? And they're just, you know, I don't know. And it's a weird connection they have with dinosaurs. So it's almost made me feel to believe not every dragon has wings, because those snakes, they didn't have wings in the beginning. You understand? They got them long after. So there's some weird information going on. I'm gonna keep it going. I'm gonna keep doing the research. We're gonna find out what's going on, guys. But there's no way I'm finding stories about dragons from all over the world, from existence, but long ago, and nothing else is like making sense and adding up. You're not gonna tell me all these civilizations all over the world, emperors, kings, queens, villagers, everybody got is lying? Nah, no way. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all. Don't forget to like and subscribe up. Let me know what y'all think about this video, so we can keep it going and keep continue making great videos like this. I definitely want to do this weekly on top of, obviously, you guys know I make my short content, but let me know what y'all think about Longmu and this whole 5 baby dragons. She had 5 children that were dragons, which was crazy.